Having an amazing day so far. So today we will be doing our grade 7 English lesson on suffixes. And before we start our grade 7 English lessons on suffixes, we are going to log into aplusstudents.ca. Once you've logged into aplusstudents.ca with your username as well as your password, and then you're going to select the subject of language arts, which is English. All right. Once you've selected the subject of language arts, which is English, and then we're going to select the grade, right, which is grade 7, and then the chapter of suffixes. And we are going to find out what a suffix is. So we're going to scroll down to our chapters up until we get to suffixes. All right. And we said our chapter is suffixes. English, our subject is English language arts. Grade 7. And the lessons that we're going to be focusing on today is words with full and words with either less or less. We say it is written as less, but if you add that suffix to a specific word, and then it will come out as less, or the spelling would come out as less. Less or less, less. All right, and we are doing our lesson on aplusstudents.ca. So if you do want to go back, recap, go over certain either lessons or chapter, here we have the current chapter on our whiteboard, which is suffixes. Our subject is there, which is English language arts, grade 7, and the lessons that we are focusing on is full and words with less. All right. So suffixes, right, are one or more letters that is added to the end of a base word to change its conjugations, word type, and other grammar properties, like plurality. It's like sometimes making it more, right? So suffixes are either that one, or it can be more than one letter that is added to a base word, right? It's a base word that can stand on its own to change, let's say, the word type or other grammatical plurals. So basically, a suffix can be added to the end of that base word to create a new word. And knowing the meaning of a suffix can help you determine the meaning of a word. Meaning, knowing the word of, for example, full, or knowing the word of less, or the meaning of the word full and less, will be able to help you determine the meaning of the specific word, or whatever word that will be created when it is added to the end of that base word. All right. So we see that we are doing words with full and words with less or less. The first one, suffix full. So the suffix full, it means either having or showing or causing. So the suffix full means having, showing, or causing. And the suffix full means having, showing, or causing. And this helps you determine what to eat for dinner is a less meaningful decision, right? So this helps you determine that what you eat for dinner is a less meaningful decision. So meaningful ends in FUL. And meaningful means having importance or special meaning for someone. That is meaningful. It's like saying the gift that someone gave you, it's special, it's meaningful. The words that someone says to you is meaningful, right? It is special. Sometimes meaningful friendships, right? Meaning that this friendship is important and is special. And that is what meaningful means. Meaningful means having importance or special meaning of someone or for someone. And if we specifically look at our base word, right? If we specifically look at our base word, let's look at a base word that will be for both less and full. So we can say, let's say help, right? So help is our base word, right? And this is our base word that can basically stand on its own. If we add an FUL to it, if we add FUL to the word help, let me, we add FUL, then it means that our word is not helpful. And basically, if we just look specifically, oopsie, at the word help, only help, the meaning of help, right, is to make it easier or possible for someone to do something. So it's basically offering your services or offering your resources to make it more easier for the next person. So that is help. And the meaning of helpful. So basically, it is just one L. So the meaning of helpful, right? The full meaning of helpful, which is help plus full, right? It's giving or ready to give help. It's like showing that I'm helping, right? It's the act of assisting someone. And that is helpful. All right. Now we're going on to the suffix less. And the suffix less or less, it means without. So the suffix less or the suffix less means without. And this helps you to determine that a group of people would feel powerless when they are constantly ignored by the government. Powerless. So this helps you to determine that the group of people would feel powerless when they are constantly ignored by the government. Because remember, the government are people of power, right? And we basically depend on the government for them to render services, right? So majority of people would feel powerless if they are ignored or not helped or they don't get the necessary services from the government. And powerless means without power. And it doesn't mean strength. It doesn't necessarily have to mean strength, right? But they will be powerless. It is without power. And if we specifically look at our word that we use with fool, we get the word helpful. And helpful, we said, is giving or ready to give help. And then we have helpless. Then we have helpless. So we have helpful and we have helpless. You see, our base words are both help. These are base words, and we added full. And we added less. So we have helpful, which is giving or ready to give help. And then we have helpless. And helpless means when you're unable to defend yourself or to act without help. Remember, we said less means without. So it's like acting without help. So it's unable to defend oneself or to act without help. And as you can see, the differences between these two words. There we still have our base word, which is help. We still have our base word, which is help. But now we added full, which is having, showing or causing. And then we have less, which is without. And that is why we say knowing the meaning of a certain word is important because it will help you be able to know what the meaning of that specific word is once a new word is created. And helpful is giving or ready to give help. You're excited. You're showing that you are ready to give help. You're helpful. And helpless is unable to defend oneself or to act without help. And that is basically the two differences. But yet there we have our base word, which is help. And the words that was added at the back of the base word is called full, and it's called list, which is another word. It's like written as list, but it's list. All right. We don't have to look at that one. That is prefixes. Now, here's a few more example of suffixes that ends in full, or that's one word that ends in full, and we have helpful, right? And helpful is one of our suffixes that we also made examples of. And here we have a few examples of suffixes that adds in list. And remember we said it means without. For example, careless. Without the care. It's without care. It's like I don't care. Endless. It's without end. It's an endless journey. It's like there's no end to this journey. Joyless. It's like I don't have any joy. I'm joyless. Useless. You don't have any use of doing something. Harmless. Like you will not be harmed. It's like coming to the yard, the dog won't bite you. The dog is harmless. You have homeless, meaning that you do not have a home. You are without a home. Helpless. We said no help, without help. Hopeless. You do not have any hope. You are hopeless, without hope. And then we have needless as well as cloudless. And that is but a few examples of full or suffixes ending in full and suffixes ending in less or less. All right, so now we're going to A plus students.ca. So A plus students.ca. And we're going to the first lesson, which is words with full. And we see the suffix can be added to the end of a base word to create a new word. Right? So it's like creating a new word. And we made a few examples of how you create a new word. So the base word means something, but as soon as we add either full or less or whichever word at the end, and then and knowing the meaning of a suffix can help you determine the meaning of a word. And we see that the meaning of full means having, showing, or causing. All right. If we look at an example, right? The suffix full, it means having, showing, or causing. This helps you determine that a bossy person has more forceful personality. And forceful meaning or means it is showing or using a lot of force and dictatorship, right? All right. If we look at another word, what is less? What is less wasteful? What is less wasteful? Like showing what is not really wasteful. And wasteful, it means causing waste. So what is less wasteful? So we say the full means having, showing, or causing. And this helps you determine that reusing something is less wasteful than throwing it away. So it's like recycling something, reusing something. It is less wasteful than just throwing something away. And we said wasteful means causing waste. And why might someone be gleeful? Gleeful. So why do you think someone might be gleeful? And we say the suffix full, it means having, showing, or causing. And this helps us to determine that someone must be gleeful because she has just heard some good news. So gleeful probably refers to the excitement. They're full of glee, they're full of joy. The excitement, the joy. That is gleeful. And why might someone be gleeful? Because she has just heard maybe some good news. So now she is gleeful. All right, so now let's go to our test, right? Where we are going to look at words with full. So, how would you feel after a restful day? So, if you have rested, you are well rested, how would you feel after a restful day? Do you feel exhausted, meaning that you feel more tired? Or do you feel recharged and rejuvenated? How do you feel after a restful day? Exhausted or recharged? So if we are restful, are we exhausted or are we recharged? Restful. All right, so if you are restful, right? You have rested, you are well rested, meaning that there's a lot of calmness in you, right? Then we can say you are recharged because you have rested. You're no longer tired. Restful, meaning you are recharged. Which is someone more likely to be prideful about? Prideful. Are you more prideful about a mistake or an accomplishment? Prideful, it's like proud. Is the mistake or an accomplishment? Which is someone more likely to be prideful about? A mistake or an accomplishment? Something that you're prideful. So, prideful is having an excessive high opinion of oneself. So, are you more prideful about a mistake or are you more prideful about an accomplishment? So, we can say we are more prideful about an accomplishment, right? If you have accomplished something, then you are more prideful because you're proud, right? Who is less skillful? They're not that skillful, less skillful. Is it an amateur athlete or a professional athlete? Someone who is less skillful. An amateur athlete or a professional athlete. They are less skillful. Which one is less skillful? An amateur athlete or a professional athlete? All right, so we can then say an amateur athlete is less skillful than a professional athlete because a professional athlete is skillful, not less skillful. And who has more forceful personality? Who has a more forceful personality? Is it a timid person or a bossy person that can be more forceful? Their personality is more forceful. One thing's their way. Is it a more timid person that's quiet? Or is it a bossy person that can also be very loud? So we can say someone who has more forceful personality can be a bossy person. So a bossy person is more forceful. And whose performance is more likely to be described as artful? Is it an amateur violinist or a professional violinist? So, an amateur violinist, someone that's not that good, or a professional violinist, someone that's very good. And we can say whose performance is more likely to be described as artful. We can say a professional violinist. Because it's artful, it's beautiful. All right, so that is basically words with full, right? So this is words with full. And we said words with full, it means having, showing, or causing. So words with full is having, showing, or causing. Now we're going on to words with less. Let's go to words with less. Sounds like less or it looks like less, but it's less. And the suffix once again can be added to the end of a base word to create a new word. And knowing the meaning of a suffix can help you to determine the meaning of a specific word. And when it comes to the word less or less, like we would call it, less or less means without. It means without. So it's basically the opposite of full. And the suffix less means without. This helps to determine that the orange juice is less likely to be described as tasteless, meaning it is not nice. It is without taste. So, orange juice in this case, based on what someone says, it is tasteless, it is without taste. It's not nice. And what can be described, or what can be described less tasty, or what can likely be described as tasteless? It can either be juice, in this case, the orange juice. And which is endless, meaning there is without end. It just goes on and on and on. And this helps you to determine that eternity is endless. Eternity is endless. It goes on and on and on. So, endless, something that is endless has or seem to have no end. There is no end at all. It is endless. So, eternity is endless. And we said which is endless, and we said eternity is endless. And then why might you describe a software program as useless? And we see the suffix less means without, and this helps to determine that you might describe a software program as useless because it doesn't do what you want it to do. So useless means without any good use. And remember, for people who don't use software programming or don't need to use software programs, because our computers is basically just for either typing or YouTubing or doing whatever, watching movies or just doing our schoolwork, we don't know anything about software programming, right? And why might you describe a software program as useless? Because it doesn't do what you want it to do. All right, now let's go to our test. So, which is meaningless? Meaningless. Is it a random string of words or a sentence is meaningless? It's without meaning, which is meaningless, without meaning. So we can say a random string of words is meaningless, right? And that is correct. Who might you describe as penniless? No money. Is it someone who has no way of paying off debt or someone who's trying to expand their business or her business? So, someone who has no way of paying off her debts or someone who's trying to expand her business. Someone who is penniless, no pennies, no money. So, basically, someone who has no way of paying off the debts are penniless. And which has timeless beauty? Is it the Mona Lisa or latest fashion? Timeless beauty. Then we can maybe say the Mona Lisa. Let's double check. Yes. So the Mona Lisa has a timeless beauty. So as much as that has been done many years ago, it is still as beautiful as ever. And what might fix a flavorless sauce is by adding spices or adding water to spices that or sauces that is flavorless. So what might fix a flavorless sauce? Is it adding spices or adding water? So if we want to fix a flavorless sauce, then we need to add spices. So add spices, and that is correct. And spices will add more flavor. And why might you make careless mistakes in your work? Is it because you don't understand something or because you aren't paying attention? Careless mistakes in your work because you don't understand something or because you aren't paying attention. Careless mistakes. So it was without care. Why might you make a careless mistake in your work? And if you make a careless mistake, we can maybe say that you weren't paying attention. Because careless is like saying without care. It's like you don't care. And yes, if you don't pay attention, then it means that you make careless mistakes. And what might you use to fill out a paperless survey? It is not with paper, right? Do we use a pen or do we use a computer? Paperless. And a paperless survey, right? We can say we use a computer. So we're going to use a pen, then it means that we need the paper. All right, let's do the last one. Who would order a meatless dish at the restaurant? Is it a meat lover or vegetarian? So meat loaf, meatless, sorry. Is it a meat lover that would order a meatless dish or a vegetarian? So basically, someone who would order a meatless dish would be a vegetarian. So a vegetarian is correct. And when would a surface be spotless? Without spots, without dirt, it is super clean. When it needs to be cleaned or when it is just being cleaned. So basically, when it is just being cleaned, then it is spotless. So when might you feel helpless? When you have no power to change things, or when you have no power, when you have power to change things, when you don't have power to change things. Helpless. So basically, if somebody have no power to change things, then it means that they feel helpless or powerless. All right. So we did words with full and we did words with less. And remember, we said that in order for you to determine the meaning of a certain word, you basically need to know what full stands for, what less stands for, and all the other suffixes that we are going to be doing in this week. All right? Because then you'll be able to know when the meaning of that word changes by just adding our suffix. And we said a suffix is a word or more than one word, right, that is added to the base word, or let's say the end of a base word. A base word is a word that can stand basically on its own. All right, so that is now the end of our lesson, grade sevens on suffixes. Right, thank you very much for joining the class, and you should have a good afternoon further. Goodbye.